Part 4. When responsibility moves quietly. When health policy stalls, something important happens that is easy to miss. Responsibility doesn't disappear, it moves, and almost always it moves away from systems and toward individuals. This shift rarely arrives with an announcement. There is no press conference declaring that people are now on their own. Instead, the change shows up gradually, wrapped in reasonable language. Words like choice, flexibility, consumer driven, personal responsibility. On their own, these words sound empowering. In practice, they often signal something else. What happens when policy pauses? When governments delay, defer, or avoid clear health policy decisions, the system still has to function. Care still costs money. Providers still need to be paid. Insurers still need to price risk. Employers still need to decide what they will offer. In the absence of coordinated policy, the burden of navigating those decisions shifts downward. From institutions to employers, from employers to families, from families to individuals. No one votes on this transfer. It happens quietly through defaults. How choice becomes a signal. Choice is not inherently bad, but when choice expands while guidance, coverage, or protection does not, it becomes a signal that responsibility has shifted. Instead of asking, is this covered? People are asked to consider which plan, which network, which deductible, which out of pocket maximum, which exclusions. These are not choices most people can make with confidence, especially under time pressure or medical stress. Yet the presence of choice creates the impression that outcomes are the result of personal decisions, not structural design. The human experience of the shift. Most people never engage with health policy directly. They encounter it at moments of vulnerability: a job change, a pregnancy, a diagnosis, a cancellation notice, a premium increase. At that point, the question isn't ideological, it's practical. Am I covered? Is my family covered? What happens if something goes wrong? When responsibility has already shifted, the answers are often unclear, not because people weren't paying attention, but because the system expects them to manage complexity that used to be handled upstream. Why this shift often goes unnoticed. The transfer of responsibility feels normal because it happens gradually. Each step can be justified. Employers reassess costs, insurers adjust plans, governments emphasize flexibility. No single change looks unreasonable, but taken together, they redefine who bears the risk. By the time people realize what has happened, the system presents the outcome as a matter of personal choice rather than public design. Setting up what comes next. Once responsibility moves to individuals, complexity becomes the gatekeeper. Understanding plans, coverage limits, and trade-offs becomes essential and increasingly difficult. In the next part, we'll look at the difference between having choices and having meaningful coverage, and why those two things are often confused. Next, Part 5. Choice versus coverage.